Alright, what we're going to take a look at today is the prep list and how to utilize it best for our business. And each and every day you're going to be using this, so it's important to know what each section is for and how to use it. So first off, if you just take a look at this area, this is your actual prep for vegetables and meats and what to stock to the line. This is your pan count. In other words, how many of each pan do we have in the house? And that's important when you're trying to figure out how much to prep over here. You don't want to prep more than obviously what you have pans for. This section is for produce ordering. And each and every day you'll want to take a count of how much you have and then how much you need to order. The phone number is up at the top, and we use the online ordering for creation. We no longer use Piazza, so be sure to use the online ordering for Creation Gardens. These are our side items. Again, you want to list how much is on hand, how much you'll need to prep, dough on hand. This tells you just basically how much you have sheeted, dough balled, and in total. Below it, you see our dough to produce. This is just simply how much you're going to make each and every day, and you in here you would either put an S or a D. And sometimes for delight we do half batches, we'll do a single, or we can do a double. And so we would just put a D in. Now, I'm using a digital version. Of course, you would just write in all of this information as needed. Underneath, we have our pre-makes, and this is just an idea of how many sauce and cheese you need to make each and every day. If there's any pre-stretched for stuffed, and then if there's a weekly special, for instance, a large cowboy on sale for, let's say, $10, you'd want to just go ahead and make a few each and every day. So just write that in here as well. Over here, we have our morning checklist. When you come in the morning, it's important that you do go through this. Your prep list will be somewhat filled out when you get in, but it's important that you still go through the rest of the steps. And what you want to do is put your dishes away, put all your pans and totes onto the rack or onto a table so that you're ready to do prep work. You want to fill your sinks with hot water and sanitizer. You want to empty the dryer once you've started it, I suppose. So part of this might be to start and then empty the dryer. You need to make sure that the prep list is fully filled out. You need to call in your produce order, which again we talked about is over here. Get your sheeter assembled for the day, set up the front line, and go ahead and pull and sheet any residual dough from the day before. And you can either do that before or you can get it out and let it sit while you're making your dough for the day. Over here, this can be confusing. It says emergency items. They should be written in here, and these are in priority for your day. Sometimes dough isn't the most important thing, so you wouldn't necessarily want to jump onto dough. You'd write your emergency items in. Over here, you see FLM, large delight, family size delight, and then down here, a build to. What we use this for is on days when it's going to be a special circumstance, such as a holiday or a special such as Valentine's Day or Halloween. What we want to do is take account of any additional dough we're going to make. And so what we do is we just take 2 days total and write it in here. Then we take our build to, which may be this times a certain number, and write it in next to this. The reason we have that is so when you take a look at what dough you have on hand, you just take the build to, subtract what you have in total, and that's how much dough you need to make. And this is in lieu of using a computer program to do the thinking for you. This gives you a little bit more freedom and flexibility to do what you want. Last, we have our cash count area, and this is used at the end of each and every night just to put down a simple cash count amount from the register. Now, moving back to this area of the prep list, you have your front stock, which is how much is under the line. You have your walk-in stock, which is how much is in the walk-in already prepared. Under the prep column, what you're going to want to do is enter the amounts needed for today. Stock to line is how much is going to need to go up front at the end of your day. This next column is simply for your check marks or tick marks to show that you've done the work for the day. And finally, this column here you'll see little boxes. These are for when cuts need to be made versus just prepping the item, such as green peppers. You may need to pan some, but not necessarily cut, so you would leave that blank. Same for onions, mushrooms, cheese, Roman tomatoes, green onions. It's just an additional column to make sure you've pretty much crossed your T's and dotted your I's for the day. Now, a neat little hack, if you will, is you notice next to each word, such as base cheese, there is a number, a 1, a 2, a 6, a 3. That stands for the fraction that you see down here, such that a base cheese goes in a 1/1, which is a full pan. Tomato sauce goes into a 1/2, which is your half pan, obviously. Your creamy garlic goes into a 1/6. Spinach goes into a 1/3, and so on. It's just something that we use to give ourselves a quick cheat on what pans we're going to need, so that when you go to figure out how many pans you have today, you'll know how many you're going to need to use by just quickly referencing what pan it goes in. You're going to memorize that anyway, but for anyone new to it, it's a good reference to have. Your quantity is approximately how much goes into each one of those pans. The build to is how much you want to have each and every day at minimum. So that if you look at your front stock and your walk-in stock, you know that you're going to need at least 3 on hand each and every day to know how much to prep. You would obviously want more than 3 on base cheese. But let's look at tomato sauce. If let's say we have 1 up front, 2 in the walk-in, we would want to do 1 more pan, which is 2 bags. And so that's what we would write in our prep area. Now, let's go ahead and delete that. The same is true for any of these, so that if you were to go down to pepperoni, you know you're going to need 3 today. If you have 2 up front, 1 in the walk-in, it's not necessary, most likely, that you make any additional pepperoni today. It's just a quick guide, the build to. Now, you have to use some common sense. On a Tuesday, you're obviously going to want a little bit more. Same on a Thursday or Friday when you're preparing the faves. Now, for your side items over here, each store has a different build to, and it's printed as well as your pre-makes on a pre-make and side item daily list, and it's attached to the wall, probably by the sheeter or at least by the prep table, so that you have a quick reference. For dough on hand, what you're going to want to do is enter your numbers and then take and enter them into your dough chart. Now, if you'll give me a moment, I will open up what your dough chart should look like. Here we go. Let's get that set for you. So let's take a look at a Monday in May, where we have 16 family, maybe 48 large, 12 mediums. Let's say we only have 2 family size thin crust and about a dozen large. If you look down here, it tells you that you're going to need 1.93 doubles, which rounding up would obviously give you 2 of regular dough. Then under singles, it says 0.59. My recommendation whenever it is this close is to go ahead and make a full single, especially if you're going into a Tuesday. Today being Monday, you know that between today and tomorrow you're going to use a little bit more than that, so be prepared for it. That being said, you take these numbers. It says to make 15. I would round it up to 16 because it's a multiple of 4 and easier to divide in your totes. Then your mediums, I'd push it up to probably 28. And then the balance of your dough is going to be in larges. If we go back to the prep list to take a look at how that translates, we would go down to dough to produce. We know that we need a double, another double, and then for delights, a single. Now, to divide this up, we said for family size, we're going to do 16. For medium size, we're going to do 28. And under large, we want to do the balance, and then all. This lets us know that we need 2 doubles with 16 family, 28 medium, and the balance of everything larges. Under delights, we need to take a quick look over here. It says 19 large and only 3 family size. My recommendation for this is that for family size, instead of 3, let's go ahead and round it up to 4, or if you want, you can even double that to about 8, just so that you have plenty and know that the balance of that single is going to be largest. I hope this helps you understand a little bit better how the prep list functions, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email Gary or myself, and otherwise, have a wonderful day.